Now, a former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has called on the president to heed calls from various groups and labor unions to bring an end to the destruction of forest reserves and water bodies. Speaking to journalists at a Grand Durbar to mark the climax of the Asogli Yam Festival in Ho, the former minister called on the Ghanaian youth to rise to the task and hold leaders accountable for their challenges. Meanwhile, the Agbogbo Mafia of the Asogli State, Togbi Afede, the 14th, tasked the next government to reverse all negative happenings in the country to promote growth and development. There's more in this report by ChannelOne News' Desmond Salasiago.
To climax the celebration of this year's Asogli Yam Festival, a Grand Durbar saw chiefs sitting in state and people of the Asogli State dressed in their colorful traditional wears amidst singing and dancing to hail their chiefs. The occasion saw dignitaries across the country and elsewhere gracing the occasion. Speaking at the Grand Durbar, former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has called on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to heed calls by organized labor and other unions and institutions to bring an end to the destruction of forest reserves, water bodies and farmlands. He called on the next government to prioritize job creation and the restoration of the environment.
President of the Republic to heed the call of citizens, civil society organizations, professional, academic, research institutions, and trade unions to bring an end to the destruction of our forests, farmlands, water bodies, and associated biodiversity. The very existence and future of Ghana are at stake. And Mr. President, I know you care. There's one thing I know very well, which I want you to note, that disobedience and destruction of nature will not be endured for too long. Soon, the holy and righteous God of nature, who rules over all creation in the universe, will destroy those who violate his creation. Finally, I would like to call on all political groupings, especially the ruling party, to ensure that the general elections in December this year will be free and fair without any attempts by any group to subvert the integrity of the electoral process and its results. Our citizens should also be wise and avoid destructive behaviors and violence during the election.
Speaking to journalists, Professor Frimpong Boateng wants the youth to care for the country and hold public officials responsible for challenges faced by the youth.
The Ghanaian youth is docile. You see, look, I'm not supposed to find accommodation for you. But don't you think about accommodation? Don't you think about transportation? Don't you think about health? And these things, you know. And Ghanaians, workers don't have accommodation and fine. So, but we're giving power to the president. The Constitution gives so much power to the president and so on. So, he should be held responsible for a lot of the things that worry you. Your housing, your education, the food you eat, and so on. Look at public transportation. I mean, well...
Sir, you put it to the youth that we should care. Some of the youth has organized to show on the street that they do care. And some of them have ended up in prison custody and police custody.
Yes, that is the price you have to pay. They will come out one day, and they'll come out stronger. Some people were even killed in their struggle for themselves, for the independence of their country, and for their own well-being. Some were killed, some were maimed. But I'm not saying that being incarcerated in Ghana is a good thing. But I know that they will come out wiser, stronger, and next time, such things will not happen.
Addressing the Grand Durbar, the Agbogbo Mafia of the Asogli State, Togbi Afede the 14th wants the next government to live up to expectation and reverse all negative happenings in the country. He, however, called for conditions to enable free and fair elections in the upcoming election.
And of course, it will require a general constitution to review the concentration of power. It also require a change in our attitudes, because the government that we have is always a reflection of our attitudes. If we all begin to avoid all of these bad things, corruption, greed, and etc., we can kill corruption before it kills us. So our next government has a challenge, and it's important me to reverse all of the negative trends. As we go into elections this year, we should all bear in mind. We need development, and that should be our guide as well as our franchise. But I want to call upon the EC to ensure that we have conditions that will allow for free and fair elections.
Calls are once again being placed to the president to heed to calls by labor unions to put an end to the destruction of forests and water bodies. Reporting for ChannelOne News from the Volta Regional Capital Hall, my name is Desmond Lasiago.